So to create our post, we're actually going to model this using a generic model so that we can bring it in. So we're going to do File, New, Family, and we're going to create a generic model, which is the last file called generic model, even though it's probably one of the more commonly used ones. And we're just going to do this from the front here. Again, we want to set up our guardrail height. Let's give ourselves a couple of references to work off of. So that's 42 inches. And we want this to offset by about, I don't know, 2 or 3 inches. Let's say 3 inches. And I'm just going to give myself a couple of references off of the top of the tread. Remember, this is the top of our tread, and this is the edge of our tread. So we can call this edge of tread, and we can call this top of tread if that helps you, so you can remember what your references are. And I think I want these to be something like 4 inches up, and then maybe another 6 inches up, something like that. So what I'm going to do is create a sweep, sketch path. We're just going to go up, over, and up. All right, I'm not going to worry about locking these. If I wanted to parameterize this, I would probably worry about making sure it flexes. I'm not going to worry about that right now because that's not part of this tutorial. That's another video somewhere buried down in there. So we're going to finish that, and then we're going to edit profile, go back to our reference level view, and then I think we're going to want a nice beefy post on this. So probably something like 1.5 inches or something like that. So I'm going to go through here. And remember, the things that in the Revit-alize tutorial were not in metric, I'm just going to be making stuff up that I'm familiar with. This is good for now. You probably remember seeing the 2 posts for the railings. I'm going to leave those off for now so that we can come back in later. And actually, you know what? Let's go ahead and put them in. I'm okay with that. So let's go to front, and let's give ourselves a couple of reference planes here. We're going to call this lower glass panel support. We're going to call this upper glass panel support. So this is going to be a little bit different from the Revit-alize tutorial. And what we're going to do is we're going to put our supports in here. And these will connect the glass panel, the glass rail panels that go up each side to these post tension or these tension posts that go down into our connections. Now, I think I messed up. I got to go back. I think this needs to be smaller than our tread supports down here, so I'll probably need to make this a little bit less. But all I'm going to do right now is I'm going to create another sweep, sketch path, and I'm just going to do it right along that boy right there. And let's make this a total of about 6 inches. And remember that this is the edge of our tread right here. So this is probably actually lined up pretty good. We're going to leave it just like that. And then we're going to select profile and edit profile. We can do it from a 3D view or left, right. I actually like doing these in 3D views. We want this to be about the same size as the ones that were in this guy right here. So let me remember what size this is. So 1/2 inch diameter. So I'm going to do the same thing over on this guy. So let's do 1/2 inch diameter. All right, just like that. Now I feel like that's poking through just a little bit more than I was hoping. Yeah, so maybe this needs to be more like just 4 inches. Maybe that'll be just enough. Just like that. All right, so now what's going to happen is hopefully, nope, it's not. So I've got to go and align to lock the path here. So I'm just going to use align and lock that right there. And I'm going to finish that a couple times. Now hopefully when I move this up and down, we get a sweep that stays with that. So I'm going to copy this down here. I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm just going to edit this by double clicking it a couple times and align and lock. And that'll make it easier later on when we need to adjust where those supports are for the railing. We have a good way to adjust those. So I'm going to join these guys just like that. So we've got a nice looking post. And then the last thing that I want to do is this post is supposed to fit inside these supports. So maybe what I do is this. Maybe I just make this like a 1-inch diameter, and those posts just get big, right? Because then I'm not going to worry about that right now because I would have to go back and redo those tension rods. So now what happens, now that this is done, because I kind of like the shape of this, so I'm going to keep this the way it is, and I'm just going to load this into my the family that we just did earlier, and then I can just drop that right on top of that. All right, so this is kind of how this starts to come together here. All right, so if I go to the front view of this, all right, first things first, I'm going to come in here and I'm going to close this this family that we just made without saving because I've got it loaded in. And what I can do now is come over here and rename this. We're going to call this Baluster Post. And if you're asking yourself, why didn't you use the Baluster family? Well, I can't load Baluster family types into another Baluster family type. There are certain family types that you can load in. You cannot load a Baluster family into another Baluster family. So I made this generic model for us to be able to load it. So what I can do now is I'm just going to do some align and lock magic here. We really kind of made this to be from this spot right here, so I'm going to align it right there, and then I'm going to move this into, I wonder if it'll let me do that right there. And then I'm just going to mirror it. Okay, so this is what we're starting to look like right here. All right, you can assign materials to everything. Oh, you can see that I've got a little bit of an alignment issue going on here. Let's see if we can figure out what's going on with that. Oh, it would appear as though I just didn't align it this way, so we're going to do that. All right, now that's looking pretty good. I'm liking the way this is looking. So what we're going to do is this family you can save, or you can just load it into your project. Typically at this point, if you're not nesting it into another family, you should probably save it. So that's what I'm going to do is I'm going to save this. I'm just going to throw it on my desktop. We're going to call this tension, or we'll just do this, glass stair tension post step. And we should probably call that baluster also, so that we know it's a baluster type. Okay, we can't even change the type of this, so that's always nice. All right, so now let's load this into our project and see what we can do with that. All right, so we're getting close now. We're going to add some of the final touches to our stair, and hopefully it starts to look as good as Bruce's stair over on his tutorial. So this is the part that we're kind of going to start abusing to get the stair components in. We're going to create a railing, and we're going to change, we're going to go from the default railing system to, we're going to call this center rail, I don't know, I-beam, tension, rod, baluster, whatever you want to call this, you know, kind of thing. And so we're just going to center rail, I-beam, and there's a couple things that we want to change with this. The first is I'm not going to use the top rail for this. Maybe we'll come back and change it a little bit later on. But for now, we want our continuous railing, which is going to be our I-beam. I'm going to insert. We're going to call this I-beam support. All right, height is 0, offset is 0, and for our profile, we're going to go find the I-beam that we created. And we can give it a material if we want. I'm not going to worry about that right now. I'm going to hit OK. And just so that you can start to see this being constructed, I'm going to hit OK here. I'm not going to put our baluster posts in quite yet. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and select our host of the stairs, and then down the center of the stair, I'm going to sketch, hopefully. There we go. I'm just going to use the pick line, and then we're going to do that right there. Down the center of our stair, I'm going to hit finish. And we can see now that we've got some little pokey uppies that look like they need to be gotten rid of in our railing definition. We'll get to that in a second. I think those are there by default. But we can see, you know, we've got something going on, right? So hopefully our step baluster will connect the treads back down to the I-beam. So let's go ahead and do that right now. So I'm going to select our rail again. And I'm going to hit Edit Type. And now we're going to talk about ballast replacements. So you can see here there are actually balusters in here by default. We don't want any balusters, okay? Well, we don't want a pattern. What we're going to do instead is we're going to tell Revit to use one per baluster. And I'm going to hit Apply here, and we're just going to see if that gets rid of it over there. It doesn't, because we have to go back to this dialog box. So we'll do that. We'll kind of try to make it so you can see what this is doing each step of the way. So we're going to use, and we don't want to start, end, or center post either. So we want to go ahead and set those to none. All right. And you can see if I hit Apply here, it gets rid of those that were showing up. So what we want to do is use baluster per tread on stairs. And we want to go find the glass stair tension post step baluster that we were making. So we now have one per tread, which is exactly what we want. And that's really all we want in here. All right, so I'm going to hit OK. I'm going to hit Apply. And look at that. So we've got a little bit of a challenge in terms of it looks like our posts are flipped. So I'm wondering if we can just take this, and there is somewhere a flip arrow. Let's see if we can find that. There it is right there. Aha. So we've got these up here, and it looks like our balusters are sitting up about where the treads are. So something happened with our calculations on where we're creating those. Let's see if we can fix that real quick. Let's just go to, I'm just going to create a quick section here. And we're going to take a look at where we messed up. So it looks like we're about 3 inches off from the top. Now I could just tell it to offset this down, and actually maybe that is what I do. So maybe I actually take this and we look at our baluster placement, and we can't do anything with that. So baluster offset, use landing height. So I don't think we can actually adjust the top of this. Nope. Using any of our definitions here. So typically we could say that the base offset, you know, is -3 inches or something like that. But it doesn't look like it's going to let us do that because we're using baluster per tread on stairs. So let's hit OK here. Now let's jump back into our post tension step family here and see if we can figure out how to fix this. So let's go up here to balusters. Nope. Down here to railings. And let's find glass tension post step. Edit. And let's go back to front here. Alright, and let's just see what happens if we take all of this and just move it down 3 inches. This is going to break a few things, but we're just testing at this point. It didn't like that. That's okay. What's it deleting? Alright, so let's load this in and just see how that affects It actually looks better. So I'm not too sure exactly what this is supposed to be attaching to in terms of the reference plane that it's using. I really thought that that top of that reference plane was going to be giving us a good reference there. You can also see that we might need to change. Let's edit this a little bit because the center of our stair is looking a little crowded. Oh. I just want to line those back up with the center of our stair. All right. Looking kind of cool. Oh, I wonder if that's the issue. It looks like I need to align my SketchUp with the actual stair itself. Let's do that. So let's take this and bring it here. We're going to take this and bring it here. Now you can see that moved it a little bit, but not the way we really wanted it to. So I think what I'm going to do is just line these up for now for the sake of this tutorial. And we'll go back and we'll revisit that maybe a little bit later. I'll update the video and we'll figure that out. So let's come back to our family. Here we go. Front. And we're just gonna move these down manually. Just like that. Right. And I have two options here. I can either bring the profile of the I-beam up, or I can bring this down to touch the I-beam. I think for this, I'm just going to bring this down. There we go. We can see it's starting to intersect the I-beam there. Right, and we're starting to look like something fun is going on. I think for the other half of this, I'm going to bring the I-beam profile up. So let's go find our I-beam profile and edit this. And then we're just going to bring this up 100 millimeters. All right, load this back in to the project. And override existing. And it's pretty tight. It can probably come down just a little bit, but I'm okay with this. So let's go forward with this right here. It looks like some of these balusters are actually at a different height than others, and that's quite interesting. We can see here that the tension rods are poking through the treads themselves. I do remember actually that we said that our tread thickness was going to be 1/2 inch, so maybe that's one thing we need to do is let's just come in here and I'm going to tab through to the stair. We're going to edit this run type, and we're going to say that the tread thickness is 1/2 inch. And we don't need a nosing profile, so I'm going to go back into that definition and turn off nosing profile. There we go. All right, so yeah, that's really interesting that these are at a different height down here than they are up here. So that's something that I have not encountered before, and I'm not really sure what is going on with that. I wonder if I need to reassign that.